What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Thursday, NBA slate. I got the guys with me, Michael Fiddle, AC, the AnalyticsCapper. The trade deadline is on and popping. A lot of things going on, a lot of players on the move. So a lot of rosters and people, starting lineups, I should say, questionable here. We got a couple plays for you. AC, talk to me. You on the road right now?
I am. I'm on the road. I still like the Clippers. They'll be at home. They're hosting the Pacers -4. Give me all the Clippers action tomorrow night.
Michael Fiddle.
I'm going to take the Celtics versus the Mavericks. Give me the over 229.
I got nothing, people. I was looking. I was scrounging. All the question marks bouncing around with people moving. Nothing I feel confident playing right now. I was looking at Orlando, Denver, but as we record this on Wednesday night, both teams are actually playing. I lean Orlando plus the 9 as it sits, but I don't know what the injury report's going to be like. So I got no official, but I lean Orlando. Jimmy Butler finally gets traded. We'll touch on that as we cover off on our best bets. Let's actually start there, fellas. And Fiddle, I'm going to come to you first. So the short timeline is, let's go back to the summer. Jimmy wants an extension. Pat Riley doesn't want to give it to him. Fine. I'll play a little bit of ball, and maybe I can convince you guys to give me an extension. That doesn't happen. He is upset. They start to suspend him. The whole thing, the whole fiasco begins. He then says he only wants to go to Phoenix. Then word on the streets, he's going to Golden State. But then word on the street comes back that Jimmy doesn't want to go to Golden State and declined to sign an extension. Looks like they offered him the extension that he wanted. He then was cool with Golden State. They send out Wiggins, Schroeder, a couple others, but those are the mainstay. And there's a new big three in Golden State with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. What are your initial thoughts, Michael Fiddle?
Initial thoughts is it's not a needle mover probably in either direction. It's selling low for Miami. We heard reports that Jimmy was willing to come back, and I think the quote was just ball out. If he was not traded at the deadline and he had to return to Miami, he was willing to do it. So I think it's a pretty low return considering you were probably headed into a summer where Jimmy picks up that player option, goes into that $50 million deal, and pulls, your classic James Harden, where I'm only opting into this so that you could trade me over the summer. So I was hoping that he'd end up in a different place because I don't think it's going to mean much, and I don't think there's going to be much effect. I think this Warriors team still doesn't have enough to get over the hump. They're trying to do what they can. Good on them for trying to, get towards a winning spot. I understand Miami doing it. Maybe they can get another Wiggins redemption arc similar to what he did in the playoffs a few years ago. Bam is playing great. Tyler Hero is an all-star this year for the first time. So I understand it all around and pulling the trigger, but I don't think it's the most fun storyline, or I don't think it really shakes the competitive narrative and landscape too much.
Yeah, AC, I think a big part of this, of course, is how is Jimmy going to respond? What Jimmy's going to show up in the rest of the season and then starting next season? Is it a motivated Jimmy? Because we know that guy is very, very good. And when he's on the floor, he produces.
Yeah, I mean, a couple reactions initially is you mentioned them to be the new big three. This is probably the weakest big three I've ever heard of. 35-year-old Jimmy Butler, 34-year-old Draymond Green. Stephen Curry is still great at 36, but this is not a big three, guys. Like, let's be honest here. Like, Draymond Green, even in his heyday, he was the fourth guy. He needed the three scores around him. With that said, I really like Jimmy Butler if he didn't sign the extension, because I think a pissed off, motivated, contract year Jimmy Butler would have been really good. But the guy just got $121 million for the next 2 full seasons. He's not even going to play 121 games. So he's going to average more than $1 million per game. I don't think it was a good deal for Golden State. I mean, Wiggins is younger, more athletic. You can make an argument that, he's going to be playing more games in the next few years. And he's not a bad two-way player himself. We saw him Outside of Steph Curry, he was the best player for the Warriors during that championship run just 2 years ago, guarding the team's best player, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, those guys. So obviously skill level and ceiling, it's not as high as Jimmy Butler. I'm talking about Wiggins. But they gave up a lot, even though they gave up some guys that, don't play much, Schroeder, Lindy Walters, another guy there and a first round protected pick. But I think this to me is the confirmation that the Warriors are done. Because if the best they can do is Jimmy Butler, I think they're toast. I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs still this year.
AC, do you think Jimmy fits the play style at all with Kerr? And guys, the name that you keep stumbling upon is Kyle Anderson. I could hear everyone screaming into their headphones as they're listening to it, going, that other guy is Kyle Anderson. There's slow-mo. We're slow getting to the name. Do we think Jimmy Butler fits with Kerr? Because I don't see it. He's more of a ISO, set up in the half court, dribble down the shot clock, set up his man, try and draw a foul, operate in that sense. This is free-flowing motion, so I don't really know if it fits. You're asking Jimmy to play a much, much different role. Obviously, it's good defensively, but Wiggins had moments fantastic defensively too. So I just don't really see it all around.
I mean, Michael, to answer your question, you're right. Like the Warriors play a very motion offense. But the good thing about Jimmy, and here I'm going to start defending him now, because I do think it's a bad trade, but here are some pluses. Jimmy has always been a selfless superstar, or star, if you will, especially in the playoffs. Like he's willing to play, the number one defense and then like let others shine. Like he's let Bam shine, he's let Tyler Hero shine. So I think that's fine. He's going to be able to share the ball. And the Warriors at their peak, the peak of their dynasty was that motion offense, but with Kevin Durant playing iso ball in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying Jimmy Butler is Kevin Durant, obviously. Kevin Durant is a one of one, but you can make some semblance, some comparisons there. And then the other thing, that's important. Again, I wish it would have been a Jimmy Butler playing for a contract, but man, when he's motivated and locked in on defense, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA, especially in the playoffs when the possessions are much longer and the pace is much slower. So, to answer your question, I see both sides. I just don't even know if the Warriors are going to make the postseason.
Let's talk about the contract. Jimmy Butler, 2 years. Final numbers aren't exactly out, but estimates are right around 54, then 58 and 26, 27. But the key here is they essentially are giving Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry 2 years to kind of see what shakes out, right? Jimmy Butler, unrestricted free agent in 27, 28. Steph Curry, unrestricted free agent in 27, 28. Draymond Green, unrestricted free agent in 27, 28. That tells me they essentially signed up for a few more seasons after this one, and they're going to try to make a run and compete in the West. If it doesn't work, they are on the hook for some cheese until 27, 28, and then they can fully rip it down. And this may be one of those situations where they talk to Steph, and this was a route that they wanted to go together. The one thing for me about the Golden State Warriors, as soon as Bob Myers packed up, it's a huge, massive red flag for me. There is no way he leaves if there's any tread left on the tires in Golden State with that team and that core as it was constructed. You haven't really changed the makeup too much. Now you bring in Jimmy Butler. That does shake up the makeup a little bit. Let's see how it shakes out. The fit is always, I think it's always fun. It's a fun talking point to go back and forth about the fit and how it's going to work. We all just have to kind of wait and see what it looks like on the floor. Same thing with Luka and LeBron. Let's see how the fit works and what it looks like on a possession, and then a couple weeks into the whole thing. But at the worst, they're giving Steph some help and another shot, and then they're all off the books come 27, 28, and then they could really reset and move forward. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at swinging and taking a shot. That's what Golden State is doing. They're trying to do right by Steph Curry as he's going in. He's by 27, 28, he'll be 39, I believe. So stay tuned on Golden State. Jimmy Butler gets his wish, is out of Miami. And by the way, last point here. As a superstar and you're an asshole, you will eventually get what you want. It's very clear in the NBA. Like, you might look bad for a couple months. You might be in the tabloids as a this, as a that. Eventually, you get what you want. So say what you want about how James Harden went about getting where he wanted to go, or how Jimmy Butler did what he wanted to do. It seems like if you stand on it, you end up getting what you want. And let's see how it shakes in Golden State. All right, let's get to the handicap. I'm going to come to you, Fiddle. Let's talk about the total. Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks. Anthony Davis flashes questionable on the injury report as we record this at 11:22 p.m. on Wednesday night. Celtics coming off a big, big win against the Cavs. I was on them in that spot. Talk to me about why you're taking the over and looking at the total here.
So when the Mavericks play without Luka Doncic, and this has been going back for like 2 years since they acquired Kyrie Irving, they play really fast when Kyrie and Dinwiddie or whoever's the secondary playmaker starts running the offense for that team. Luka's always been a very efficient player, but he likes to ISO you. He likes to set it up. He likes to walk you down. So it takes its time despite it being quite efficient. So the totals end up depressing, and then they are popping once Luka leaves. So this is a situation where I want to kind of ride that momentum before the market kind of corrects, where this total should be probably 2 or 3 points higher. And we also look at the injury report. They're going to be missing PJ Washington, who's going to be an elite defender on the wing and important for going against Tatum in this spot. You're going to be missing Derek Lively and one of your rim protectors in this spot, who's really just elite near the rim and getting defensive rebounds and slowing the ball down and getting it to his outlet. So you have a lot of guys who will be filling in where it's rebound and then immediately push the ball, space the floor on offense, play more 5 out in both directions. So I expect the ball to be flying. I expect this line to close north of 230, and I think taking a 229 becomes a strong spot.
AC, what do you think with the question mark around AD? That was why I was having trouble just getting to an official on the slate. People questionable. People are going to bounce off. I've never seen Anthony Davis play in a Dallas Mavericks jersey. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like or how the game flow is going to go. That's something that makes me nervous here about involving a play with this game. What do you think about the total here going over? Boston coming off a big win, has been on the road for a little bit now here.
Yeah, I do like the over there. I haven't played it yet, but it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I don't think AD's playing first and foremost. I don't think Dallas is going to throw him out against one of the best teams in the NBA. I know their very next game is against the Rockets, but at least it's back home in Dallas, so we can have some fan support there. It's going to be an interesting thing when Anthony Davis suits up for the first time in Dallas for the Mavericks. But with that said, most likely no AD. We already know PJ Washington is out. Congrats, by the way, on a newborn to PJ. And you guys know Boston is going to go up and down, so it's going to be a lot of 3-point shooting variance. And Fiddle hit it right on the dot, right? Like, without Luka, who was a very heliocentric player, pace was a lot slower. Without him now, it's going to be run and gun. And now without the 2 defenders, the wing defender and then AD, you expect a lot of points. So I like the look a lot.
Yeah, I just wonder who gets time for Dallas. Like, what does it look like? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think I was really impressed with how Boston looked overall and on offense against the Cleveland Cavaliers the other night on the road. So that is encouraging. Dallas is going to have a lot of things going out. For a spot like this, I actually would look towards a team total for Boston if I was going to look at the over, but I trust Fiddle's expertise and his look and judge of the market and totals. So let's hopefully get a cash here for the guy. Fiddle's picks. AC.
Before AC goes quickly, Sean, I believe the last last 2 times we've done an episode, the 3 of us, we've all hit and we've cashed the parlay. So I think we're going for the 3rd in a row.
Yeah, let's take care of business here. I'm leaving the gang hanging here. It's just a really, really tough situation in my opinion. But yes, let's continue to roll on the AC little fiddle train. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios, and that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. I have a bunch of the stuff. Tommy John sent me some, and I would not vouch for it like the way I do if I didn't enjoy it, if it wasn't comfortable, if the shirts weren't comfortable, if the pajamas weren't comfortable. The underwear I've been wearing on the daily, they are top-notch, grade A, elite. Remember, when you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, you'll love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. All right, let's keep rolling as we record this from our Tommy John home studios. AC, you're going to LA. You're taking the Clippers after they're coming off an embarrassing loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James put on a show. It almost felt like he was putting on a show for Luka. Like this is what it looks like now. This is what we're getting ready to do. He looks sensational against the in-town rival in the Clippers. Talk to me about why you're laying the points here with him.
Yeah, it did look like LeBron was reinvigorated, not only on offense, but he was playing defense as well, which is a rare sight for a 40-year-old. But I think you hit it right on the knot. I think it's a nice bounce back spot for the Clippers. I think the Clippers are superior to the Pacers in almost every facet. They can win scoring. They can win, playing defense. And I think if you don't want to just do the Clippers here, I think the total is correlated. I think it's the under and the Clippers if you want to do a double result. And then if you like the over, I think the Pacers are going to be able to cover. So I think those are 2+ money double results that you can look into. But I'm just going to go safe here. I like the Clippers side. I think they have a big bounce back from a defensive perspective. And I think they shut down Indiana. Indiana, again, is in LA back-to-back games, right? We all know about the LA hangover. They're playing the Clippers and then the Lakers next, which potentially could be Luka's debut for the Lakers as well. They might be looking forward to that game. So I just like the Clippers here. I think they're a really good team. I talked about this on my Twitter page. I think they're a dark horse to actually come out of the West outside of OKC. OKC is so much better than everybody right now. But if you're looking for pure value, I do like the depth of the Clippers. And when you can defend like they do, they're always going to be in games like this. And then when you go up against a Pacers team that's very one-dimensional, guys like, Norm Powell and Kawhi Leonard, they're going to be able to shut them down.
Pacers ran into the buzzsaw that was the Trailblazers the other night. Didn't even break 100. They got slowed down quite a bit, so they'll be looking to bounce back as well. But I think overall, this is a good matchup for the Clippers. I agree with AC. Clippers at home, ATS this season, 18-8, 17-9 ATS as a favorite, 13-11 as an underdog. So when they're expected to win, they have been taking care of business, and they have been taking care of business against the new crowd at home, the Wall, at the Intuit Dome in LA. Fiddle, what do you think about the Clippers here?
I have money on it, so I hope it hits. I think I'm banned from talking Clippers on buckets, so I will reserve all of my thoughts, but I have money on it, so let's go.
Give us a couple nuggets. I know you were, because we were talking about it right before we hopped on. It was already printed. Before we hopped on, Fiddle, we were talking about the Clippers, and Fiddle said, I already played it, but didn't want to jinx it, didn't want to mush it on the Buckets pod. But give me a little something for the people before we get out of here.
So on last pod that I did, it was before the Lakers Clippers game, and I gave out Clippers money line at 240. And whenever I do that, I lay one unit and I just bring home a smaller return. I'm not playing 2.4 to win one. So it wasn't like it still sucked because I don't know. There was lost signs. Have you seen these people? Were they alien abducted? Did anyone see the Clippers last time? Because I didn't see them at all. Hopefully they show up this time. So I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, when we came into the studio, we were talking about what our plays are going to be. I said Clippers, and I was like, you know what? I'm not giving out Clippers, and Albert's like, I'm doing it. So I completely agree. It is a Clippers spot. You have the Pacers on a long West Coast road trip. They were in the altitude in Utah. They squeak out a win. They go to Portland. They get crushed by the rolling Blazers right now, and that now they go to LA for the the back-to-back right there, and this is the first leg of it. So I think it's a tough spot. The Pacers are playing fantastic, but don't underestimate going from France last week to a few home games to now it is so much travel that this team has been and the Clippers coming off of that kind of loss where they were again nowhere to be found. I think it's a strong spot. I also played the under in that game as well.
Sean, the other thing, yes, I agree. I think the under is correlated to the Clippers, which is what me and Fiddle agree on. The other thing, we are recording this on Wednesday night. There's only a few hours left, 12 hours left of the trade deadline. Indiana has been part of rumors now for like 10 years in a row with Miles Turner. You just never know, right? So you're going to definitely, we haven't heard anything about the Clippers potentially making a move. It's all been Indiana in this matchup here. So potentially you might be getting even more CLV. Again, CLV in the regular season means nothing, especially if they end up losing anyways. But that's something, if you're a CLV value better, that's something that you can look into.
Can I explain what the Clippers are about to do in the trade market? They made a signal loud and clear, guys. Loud and clear. When they made that trade last week, sending PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, cash considerations to Utah for Drew Eubanks, Patty Mills, and whatever, they got under the second apron so that they can get into the buyout market. So I think AC's totally right. And I made the joke earlier. It's funny. He goes 10 years. It's been 10 years. I literally made the joke earlier. I go, it's been 8 years that they've been trying to trade Miles Turner. Let's see if they finally get it done. And the issue with Turner, apparently he's beloved in Indiana and they really don't want to trade him, but they gave Nembhard an extension. And so next season, it becomes really hard to have both of them on the roster with the cap implications. So you kind of have to get rid of Turner. And so it's like they're kind of stuck in that spot where they have to really commit salary-wise to this construction of the team or get rid of Turner. And then when it goes for the Clippers, they're going to be interested in the buyout market. So like Chris Middleton ending up on the Wizards right now, wouldn't be surprised at all if he gets bought out and ends up going on the Clippers. Who else? Who just ended up in Miami that we couldn't figure? Kyle Anderson, right? Is he going to go to Miami? Is he going to go to Toronto? What's happening? They're still trying to find another team.
Utah,
don't be surprised if he ends up somewhere where they could just buy him out and take a second round pick to do the exchange. And then maybe he goes to the Clippers. So don't think in terms of betting tomorrow, I don't think Clippers are going to, lose anybody, have any major transactions. It's definitely an asymmetric risk towards the Pacers and towards the under, right? Those would be the two spots that move. The line would move down and the line would favor the Clippers more. So those are spots to get ahead of if anything does happen. But just interesting of what the Clippers did with that move earlier in the week to be a clear buyout market team.
To go back to the Portland Trailblazers, that's well said, Michael Fiddle. Minnesota plays Houston. That's going to be a really tough game. They drop that game. They host the Portland Trailblazers on Saturday, and that will be the first road game for the Blazers in 8 games. They've been doing a lot of this damage at the crib. That could be a potential spot you could find a little way on Minnesota. I'll be keeping my eye on that look-ahead spot, depending on what number flashes on the board. All right, to recap, AC, the AnalyticsCapper, is on the Los Angeles Clippers minus the 4. Michael Fiddle, Mavs-Celtics over 229 in the market. No official for me. I do lean Orlando +9, but nothing official. I don't know who's going to be on the injury report. Both of those teams playing on a back-to-back. Keep your eye on the sheet always, every hour by the hour on the injury report. That's all we do here as NBA bettors. I look at the injury report 1 trillion times a day. You should do the same. Make sure you know who's popping up, who's popping off For AC the Analytics Capper, for Michael Fiddle, I am your host, Sean Little. Go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Go download the Action Network app. Go check out all the Super Bowl content. There's still fresh stuff coming out as we inch closer to Sunday, Super Bowl 59. I can't wait. I know a lot of the guys over at Action Network can't wait. Hopefully we can cash some NBA before that. I'll be back tomorrow with my guy Brian Fonseca. Make sure you tune in. I'll have a couple plays for you then. Until next time, which is tomorrow, let's get buckets, baby.